Hi, 8th grade. Today we're going to be working on the first day of 9-4, which is solving quadratics using the zero product property. Our gotta check today is going to be page 556, number 1B. Our homework is page 558, numbers 8 to 13. And our bell ringer is page 552, number 58. All right, let's get started. So, the zero product property. This has to do with quadratics because we know that when we solve a quadratic equation, we're always looking for solutions, and solutions are the places where the graph crosses the x-axis and where y equals 0. So when we are looking for solutions, remember, we're always looking for solutions where y equals 0, or what that means is when our quadratic in some format, so ax squared plus bx plus c, so we're looking for our quadratic to equal 0. So of course we have the zero product property, and where does that come in? Well, the zero product property, pretty much says that any number multiplied by 0 is 0. So the product of a number and 0 equals 0. So that can really help us find solutions where we're looking for solutions to equal 0. Because when we have a quadratic in this format, a lot of times we can factor it into parentheses. Okay? So let's take a look at how this works. Let's say I have a factored quadratic. So I'm going to use the quadratic from your book, which is 4t plus 1 times the quantity t minus 2, and that equals 0. Okay? So if I want to find the solutions, okay, remember a solution is where our quadratic equals 0. Okay, so in order to have a solution, we need to have it equal 0. And what the zero product property says is that if this piece equals 0, well then the whole product or multiplied together would equal 0. The same thing is, it says that if this piece equals 0, then the whole product would also be 0. Okay, so in order to solve this, first of all, I'm going to make sure that my equation equals 0. So once I know that it equals 0, I'm ready to move on. So I am going to set each parentheses equal to 0. So I'm going to set each parentheses equal to 0. And then my second step, I'm going to solve for my variable. In this case, it's t. But it could be any variable, it could be x, who knows, okay? I should have, in this particular case, two solutions. So let's see how this works. So my first, I'm going to set equal to 0, so that's 4t plus 1 equals 0. And then I'm going to set my second one equal to 0, t minus 2 equals 0 over here, just because I don't want to forget that one, okay? All right, so let's solve. In order to solve this equation for t, I would subtract 1 from both sides, and that gives me 4t equals negative 1. I divide by 4, and I end up with t equals negative 1/4. All right, let's do the other side. So over here I have t minus 2. This one's a little more simple. I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get rid of that. And I end up with t equals positive 2. So these are my two solutions. So my solutions are t equals negative 1/4 and t equals 2. All right, and I'm done. It is time for your gotta check. So remember your gotta check was on page 556, and we were doing gotta check 1b. So our gotta check looks like this. We have 2x plus 3 times x minus 4 equals 0. So set your two parentheses equal to 0, just like we did above, and come back when you're ready. All right, let's give this a try. So in order to do my gotta check, I'm going to set both of these guys equal to 0. So over here I have 2x plus 3 equals 0. And over here I have x minus 4 equals 0. Okay, let's solve these. I would subtract 3 from both sides. I come up with 2x equals negative 3. I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to write it over here. I have x equals negative 3/2. All right, I know I wrote that really small, but maybe I'll write it bigger over here. So my x could equal negative 3/2. That might be a little bit easier. Then on this side, I have x minus 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides to solve that equation, and I end up with x equals 4. So my two solutions are x equals negative 3/2 and x equals 4. You can always check your answers by plugging them back into the equation and seeing if it actually equals 0. If it does, you'll know you'll be okay. All right, so it is time for homework. So your homework is page 558, numbers 8 to 13, and your bell ringer is page 552, number 58. Don't forget 3 sentences. All right, bye 8th grade. See you tomorrow.